What's going on, everybody, and welcome to part 2 of the Kimber. So we've been looking at the Custom 2, and you saw in part 1 how we basically took it apart, inspected it, I gave you my initial impressions, and then I lubricated it with 5W30, which I have in my dropper here. And we replaced all the springs with properly weighted springs. I did also replace the mainspring housing with an EGW mainspring housing, but that has nothing to do with the function. It's just because the old one was plastic, as you well know. I just got back from the range. As you can see, the gun is, well, hopefully you can see, the gun is very dirty. I haven't done anything. I literally threw it in the box when I got done, drove home, and here we are. So I haven't cleaned it, and I'm going to talk about it fresh. So I got this pistol because, as you guys heard in some of my other videos and our live chats and everywhere, basically my history with Kimber has been very, frankly, not good. I've not had good luck with them in the past. I don't know anybody really who has personally, but I want to like them because they are good looking guns. They're popular, and so I wanted them to work. This is the question that I'm asking by getting this pistol. Is there anything in the Custom 2 category, or the 2 category for Kimber, that works? Because we know the ones work. The ones is how they built their name. They're legendary for those ones because they really did something quite unique and special in that they were producing semi-custom guns in a time when all these custom features were, you had to pay money to get these done, and they were doing it at the factory level and, cranking out really good guns. But then somewhere along the way, obviously we know a little bit about the story with the CEO. They got a new CEO, and he kind of ran them into the ground and changed their reputation. And really, for the better part of 15 years, that reputation is what's kept me away from Kimber. But as I said, I want to like them. I want them to work. And so recently, I kind of got the bug again, and I thought, you know what? Let me dip this toe back in and see if we can find one that works. And also, I have to, very readily admit that I know way more about 1911s than I did 15 years ago. So this feels like the right time to jump back in and get one, and maybe if it has problems, I'm going to understand it a lot better. So without going super long here, basically my research brought me to the Custom 2 for a few reasons. One is, when I think Kimber, this is the gun I think about. It's just the quintessential Kimber, in my opinion. And so I wanted to go with this one. I talked to some buddies, and they said, hey, avoid this year range. I think they told me 2009 to 2013. And I found this one, which I did call Kimber. Might take a while. Excuse me, if I could get some help with looking up the serial number on my Kimber that I just bought. That's correct. December of 2020. No kidding. Okay. And as you heard there, this one was made in December 2020. Now, I also went with this one just because it is the truest 1911 from Kimber that I can find. You have a real feed ramp and barrel throat. You've got the barrel link. You've got the bushing barrel. You have, single stack, 45, all that good stuff. So it's the closest thing to a true 1911 that Kimber produces. And as you saw in part 1, look, I'm doing everything I can. I wanted to give this thing an honest shot to have every chance of working. And now, what I'm not trying to do is help it cheat. I'm not trying to tilt things in its favor. I'm just trying to get it set up properly. So I picked up one that was true to the OG design as much as possible. I also got it used, and somebody might say, oh man, why didn't you get a new one? Well, because they're like, look, I paid $500 for this. I'm not paying full price to then have to shoot 500 rounds to figure out if the gun's any good. No thank you. So this is the way to go for me. So it's already worn in, and then you saw in part 1 we replaced springs. It's been properly lubricated. I'm using good magazines. Essentially, there should be no reason this thing shouldn't work, supposedly. Now, we're back from the range. Did it work? Oh boy, did it. Wow. Like, let me tell you guys, color me impressed. I shot 262 rounds. The majority of those were Winchester service grade. I also shot some Freedom munitions, some of my hand loads, a couple mags of my hand loads, which are 200 grain, just kind of standard pressure loads. And then I also shot 2 full magazines of Remington UMC jacketed hollow points. It had 0 failures. It didn't hang up. It didn't feel sluggish. Even when loading, everything felt smooth all the way to the end. Every magazine locked back. And just so you know, I did buy 2 new Kimber 7-round magazines. Those worked beautifully. I also had the 8-round Kimber that it came with. It had these 2 10-round Kimbers that it came with, and these actually worked great. They fed great. They locked back. They work. And then, of course, I used my standard Springfield Armory, my favorite 7-rounders. So, good magazines. Guys, I'm really impressed. Really impressed. For this pistol, and I can only speak for this pistol, my mind is officially changed on Kimber. I mean 180 degrees. This thing shot really well. It's very smooth. I just didn't have any problems. It did exactly what I asked it to do. Now, there are some things about it that I realized that I don't like so much. And there are going to be some things I change. So let me just go ahead and jump right into that. So this trigger, the serrations on the trigger are extremely sharp, and it actually started to pull the skin off of my finger. Now, as you guys know, on all my other guns, I run smooth triggers. So admittedly, my fingers were not probably prepared for those serrations, but now that I've actually done the test, and, you know, I did it with the full-length guide rod, by the way. Okay, it's still in there. I am going to put in a GI plug system. I just prefer it. I think it's better. I know this one worked, but listen, I'm going to do it. So I know people are going to want to poke me about that, but I don't care. I'm going to do it. My only other complaint about the pistol is the sights. So, you know, I did bring my TSOS sort of service grade old school 1911, and I did run a couple mags through the TSOS as well, just so they're, you know, right next to each other. I wanted to feel the impulses and feel the differences between the two guns. You know, obviously they felt very similar, but also very different because they're very different guns. But there's one area where the TSOS, and this is why I like GI sights. When I stretched back and shot this thing at 50 yards, 35 and 50 yards, the Kimber is remarkably difficult to hit with at range. And as you guys see, I'm using a full-size, man-size silhouette. This thing is not small, okay? However, with the TSOS, which I did take a video doing it, I hit almost every bullet in the magazine at the same distance. So everybody that criticizes 1911 GI sights for being hard to see, now I know. The guys who have eyesight issues, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the guys who are like 26 years old and can't get it in their minds that those sights actually have a purpose. And they do. And the purpose is what I showed in the video, which is they are precise. I can actually shoot long range with those small sights. The sights on the Kimber are very large, and I get it. They're made for speed. You punch out, you pick them up really quick. I get it. I totally get that. But out of shooting 4 magazines at 50 yards with this gun, I scored about 5 hits. And, you know, I'm not going to put all that on video. It's very boring to just watch me shoot a huck of dirt at 50 yards. But suffice it to say, these sights are imprecise. And I know, here's the part where people are going to say, you're not going to shoot at that range. Well, there are more than one use case scenarios where people have shot at greater than 30 yards with a handgun effectively. So, yes, it's actually possible. All right. So, overall, the gun did great. So, I want to talk about a few things that I was really notably impressed by. One is the finish. The finish on the pistol, I would expect to have gotten, because look, this thing got hot. It got so hot at one point, there was an aura coming off of the pistol. And it was really too hot to touch on the slide at one point. And I would expect the finish to start doing something, like discoloring or maybe like fingerprints really sticking to it. Guys, I haven't wiped this down at all. It has stayed looking clean and shiny. The gun looks great. I don't have a big technical explanation for this, but I'm just telling you, this finish has impressed me. Whatever they've done here, and I know this is just polish, but there's something else going on here. I need to research it, but I was impressed by the finish. I was also impressed by the recoil impulse. The recoil impulse, and this is pretty standard fare with fitted guns. It is very nice. Versus a GI, the GI slaps and the Kimber thumps. It's a little tighter. It's a little more controlled. Didn't make me shoot any better. It's just it's a thing you feel and notice and kind of go, huh, okay. Accuracy, like I said, you guys have seen in my videos, I don't really do the whole, let's see how tight a group I can get on paper. I don't really care about that. I'm hitting man-sized targets. The bullets are going where I want them to go on command. The accuracy is great. The gun, it's a 1911. It feels very pointable. No surprises there. So I am going to go ahead and take the gun apart. I have not taken it apart yet since I got home. Try not to do that again. Now, just a note while I'm taking it apart about the 5W30, the gun remains wet and lubricated after 262 rounds. So I got two very aggressive messages on my X account, and it was related to part one of this video. One of them, the guy said, "You're a moron for using 5W30." And then he proceeded to tell me how I should have just had the gun Cerakoted because Cerakote is self-lubricated and you don't have to lube the gun anymore. Yeah, I'm going to let you guys figure out all sorts of creative names to call that person. I don't even need to add commentary to how stupid that statement was. The other fascinating comment that I got was a gentleman telling me that I shouldn't have changed the springs in the Kimber because the Kimber engineers are geniuses and I'm messing with their design and the gun's not going to work. And I quote, "I'll bet money on it." Well, the gun didn't have a single failure. It ran multiple different types of ammunition out of multiple magazines. No cleaning in between, obviously. It ran hollow points. So to that guy, I will just say, nana nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo, and ha ha ha. Look, I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'll say it this way. I haven't arrived, but I've left. Okay? I know a little bit about these guns, enough to speak with some authority. And when I make these recommendations on springs, I'm not pulling it out of my rear end. And they're not even my ideas. I hope everybody realizes that. They're not my ideas. I'm pointing to, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants when I make these claims that are not mine. I'm merely echoing someone else's design. All right, so the gun, I just wanted to kind of crack it open, look how dirty it was. Looks like it got shot about 250 rounds. Doesn't look bad. Slide about the same. Barrel is quite dirty. Yeah, you can see the difference in how dirty each side is. So, but it all wipes clean. And like I said, there is still wet lubrication on the gun. The people who don't understand oil, which is very funny to watch somebody not realize how much friction and heat is in their engine, how much carbon is in their engine, and they think that 5W30 won't work on a pistol. It's actually hilarious. Okay, so honestly, guys, everything looks great. I'm really happy with the performance of the gun. That's really all I wanted to do in this video, is break it open, take a look around, tell you what I think, and here's my view on this Kimber. I can't speak for all Kimbers. I'm not reviewing Kimber as a company. That's not a question that I'm asking. I just wanted to know, is there anything in the 2 category for Kimbers? The Custom 2, the TLE 2, the Tactical Entry 2, the Warrior 2, all those 2 category guns that they're producing now, do they work? And for this one, the answer is yes. I've seen it run today, hollow points, multiple different types of ammunition, standard pressure, some light shooting stuff. Seems like a great gun, and I look forward to shooting it more. So there we go, guys. My overall review is, look, the gun shot great. It was reliable. It was smooth. It was a joy to shoot. There's some funky things about it. Like I said, the trigger and the sights are just not my preference, but that doesn't make it bad. Overall, I'm very impressed with this pistol, and I will absolutely be hanging on to it, and it's going to become... It is now one of the trusted guns in the lineup. Undeniable what I saw today. So this is one of those opportunities for me to say I was wrong about Kimber. And my mind has officially changed. So much so, here's a radical statement. I'm going to carry this pistol. Listen, I can't deny what I just experienced. The gun works. It's got a great finish. Shoots great. Everything about it feels really nice. Yeah, this is a good gun. It's a really, really good gun, and I got it for a great price. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to please like and follow and subscribe. It really does help the channel growth. Every time you guys comment and like, it drives more traffic to the channel, which continues to help me produce content. And also, we got Patreon. As you can see, I have a nice new light that's helping us see things a little better. I've been waiting on this light to come in before starting making videos on Patreon like I've been promising. Now that I have it, you're going to see those go up. And if you want to support the channel directly, that is a great way to do it. You can go on Patreon and sign up to become a fellow traveler. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that. We will see you next time.